Hello and welcome to a new competition. It is called the Mini League organized by JSH. I will leave a link to the Discord channel below so you can have a look at the rules in more detail if you like, but the gist of it is that there are 10 players right now and we have to play everybody once, and I guess whoever is at the top of the table at the end of that round robin stage will be the league champion or the mini league champion. So this is my first game here. I'm using this mini league as an opportunity to practice my end game skills. The league makes it a competition which makes me focus a little bit more on the game, and I'll keep the end game in mind because I dropped too many points in the Dominion League because of my end game. So we're going to work on that for these 9 or so games. I'm not sure how many people will eventually end up joining. So the board seems very straightforward. You want to play a lot of merchant guilds as the most powerful thing on the board. How do you get there? Well, I'm going to open with warehouse and remake. I considered opening with potion and warehouse to get the universities right away, to get all the nice 5 costs, but I figured trashing was more important here. A university is better if you can play it more often. So that's why I wanted the trashing from the remake right away, and the warehouse helps accelerate that trashing. Now my opponent actually, I think, opens a little bit better than me, making use of borrow to go remake and potion, double 4. I think that is better because what he can do is remake his estates like I'm doing here into warehouses, and he would have the warehouses that I initially bought on the first turn. So I'm lucky here to be able to see 2 estates with the remake. So I turn 1 into a silver, entertaining some thoughts of picking up a 5 cost. Really counterfeit is the 5 cost that I'm thinking about because the university can gain all the other 5 costs on the board. So I do borrow on my turn 3 just to make sure I can buy a potion on turn 4 and shuffle it into my deck. If I didn't borrow, I would trigger shuffle, see the potion later. Want to see my university as soon as possible because my opponent has one too. So we are going along here very similarly at this point. I think my opponent has one more silver to me here, and in fact I am going to get rid of my silver at this point in the game because I don't really need it. I know I said I wanted to buy a counterfeit, but that is really for some plays much later in the game where you can buy coppers when you have merchant guild in play because you have a counterfeit in your deck to get rid of said coppers. That's the only reason I wanted the counterfeit, really. But that is way into the future, and instead I think I'm wondering Minstrel in place of that silver will serve me a lot better. It'll help me to find my remake faster. It'll help to pair university and library much more quickly. The classic combo, right? One of the few thematic things in Dominion, university and library. So there I gain the library first, then trigger the shuffle. Hopefully I can find it, maybe off this minstrel. But no, I'm not able to find it. I do see the library and the remake, but I'm not worried. I know there's a warehouse in those 4 cards as well, so I can perhaps have a chance of finding a plus action card to pair with those things, and so said, so done. I do find a university with it. So my opponent now picks up a counterfeit here. They have the $6 and they go for a counterfeit as opposed to one of the 5 costs. So he has the counterfeit. I don't have the money to buy a counterfeit yet, but that's okay because I don't really want the counterfeit right away. So here I am going to pick up another library, and we're going to see how much of this deck we could draw through at this point. So what I'm trying to do here now is, one, make this deck as stable as possible, as consistent as possible. I want to be able to draw 10 cards if possible all the time, or my whole deck ideally at the end of the day here. So that's why I went for the second library. I felt like I would need it here to start drawing my whole deck. It's in those 5 cards somewhere. Unfortunately, I don't find it right away, but I know it's there. And perhaps next turn, after getting rid of some extra junk from my deck here, I can draw everything and make full use of the universities. That's the point of drawing the deck here, right? You could play that university every single turn, and make maximum use of it. You can't do any better than that on this board. So just going to thin out here and pick up another warehouse. Warehouse again pairs things together very nicely, and the reduced hand size empowers library. It allows it to draw more cards. So now, seeing that I have the library in hand, I feel like I can draw the whole deck. So I am going to pick up a second merchant guild here with the university and another bazaar. So when you're building these kinds of decks, the kind of draw to X decks, what you kind of want is a lot of actions up front so that you could stick terminals into play. Like here, for example, I could stick remake into play and then play the draw to X card, the library. So it allows the library to draw a lot more cards. And I'm able to get a little bit thinner because of the remake, taking 2 cards out of my hand. So here I am able to see, well, all the important things in my deck. I think this is all the money plus all the merchant guilds. So now I have 6 and 2 buys. I pick up a third university. If you've noticed, my opponent has remade his potion, so he doesn't have a potion anymore, which means he's not buying universities anymore. So this gives me the university split, and I also plan to get rid of my potion soon enough. Although there is an argument to be made for keeping it just to keep buying universities to have more gains. But I feel comfortable having one more university than my opponent, just a little bit more pile control. I'm okay with getting rid of the stop card in the potion there. Also, at some point I considered here just borrowing on any one of these turns, just so that perhaps I can make the library draw a little bit more cards, but I was scared. I was worried that it might allow me to stall. Meaning, if I only drew 4 cards instead of 5, I may not have been able to find the library right away and make use of the reduced hand size. So you won't find me borrowing at all for I think the remainder of the game here, just because I want to give myself the best opportunity to be as stable as possible. I have a few stop cards in my deck. The guilds are stop cards, the remake, the straggling coppers, they're all stop cards. So I really want to make sure that I give myself the best opportunity to pair plus actions with the library. The library is the only source of draw here. You need to find that to have a good turn on this board. So perhaps it is overly conservative, a little bit of paranoia, but this is how I'm playing here. I just want to be very stable, because if I trip up and have a stall turn, it gives my opponent a lot of initiative. His deck is very similar to mine, and given a free turn, he can and will overtake me in development. So here I pick up quite a few merchant guilds, I believe. Or if not now, on my next turn. Yeah, I did pick up quite a few merchant guilds on this turn. You see I have 5 here, but I don't have the actions to play all of them yet. Not too worried about that, because I can buy some plus actions here. And I'm also happy that I picked up the merchant guilds right away, because it means that I have a chance of winning the merchant guild split here. That also would put some pressure on my opponent if I'm able to rack up a lot more coin tokens than he is. So here I considered borrowing here. Borrow would give me what? 12 if I spent all my coin tokens. 12 is Bazaar, Minstrel, Warehouse. Not a bad trio, but like I said, I don't want to not find my library. I only have 2 of those guys in my deck so far. And if I don't find it, my turn will not work. So I really need to make sure that I find that library. The reason for keeping all the warehouses so far is to make sure, or to try to get those things to line up. In fact, seeing the size of my deck now, I feel like I should pick up another library. I feel like I've been drawing well, especially in the middle of this game, to always start my turn with a library like here. So I don't want to leave it up to chance. I want to have enough libraries in my deck. So 11 and 5 buys for my opponent, so he can pick up quite a few coin tokens. It's up to him whether or not he wants to buy coppers for the coin tokens. I wouldn't, and he also chooses not to, which I think is the right thing to do at this point in the game. He picks up a couple minstrels now. Finally, he has minstrels. So a point about the minstrel, I think it did a fair bit of work for me early in the game in getting me around to my remake more quickly, and also to help pair university and library. It also helps me to find the library. If I flip 3 cards with the minstrel, I can rearrange and put the library on top if I need it to be on top. So it helps me find it a little bit more easily in a deck that only has 2 currently. So I do think the minstrel put in quite a bit of work here. Maybe not so much in the end here because the deck is a bit more consistent, but especially early on, remaking that silver that I had into a minstrel turned out to be quite good, I think. The Minstrel at that point pulled its weight far more than a silver would have. So here just going to be able to draw everything at this point and be able to stick 5 merchant guilds into play. My opponent rightly takes all the remaining merchant guilds on his previous turn to go to 5 as well. So we have an even amount there. Can't necessarily get more coin tokens than him at this point. Also, what is something that you could do here is I tried, but I couldn't find an opportunity to maybe try to stack your deck in such a way so you can discard some cards with Warehouse. So 3 cards and perhaps Bazaar, you can draw 1, and maybe you would leave like Village and Library on top of your deck if you were able and clever enough to discard the right things. But I didn't find an opportunity for myself to do that in this game. So I am able to find all the merchant guilds here after a gracious undo from my opponent. And what I'm going to do, I have 19. Like I said, we're concentrating on the end game here, right? So piles are thin, guilds are out, 2 bazaars, 5 libraries, 6 minstrels, piles are thin. Remake is a thing as well that could gain 5 costs. So I'm not going to play any games. I'm just going to take a points lead at this point in the game via colony and province. Battlefield here means that I get a couple extra points for buying those things. So not only am I going to do that, but what I am also going to do is pick up a copper, giving me 5 coin tokens, and that should leave me with enough money to pile out the game on my next turn if given the opportunity. So what I can do is use 2 universities for bazaars, use another one for a library, and then I would need $20 and 4 buys to pick up the remaining libraries, for example, which I can do if I draw everything. Unfortunately, my opponent stalls here, and I am able to find everything and have a full turn, which gives me the win. My opponent actually resigns when he sees that I'm able to kick off here. So that is how the first game ends. You see this forum here, I picked it up on my last turn because of this reason, right? Because I wanted to make sure. I was very paranoid this game. Maybe rightly so, maybe not rightly so. You could tell me of stalling. Here the forum helped me from not stalling and kicking off and allowing me to end the game. So that is the first game in the Dominion Mini League. Thank you for watching. Feel free to leave your thoughts and your comments in the comment section below. See you.